before we start, guys, just remember don't ask Coach about the player that's not on the sheet I gave you.
You can't comment on players that are on the side. Thank you.
Okay, really proud of today. Really appreciate the hard work of our assistant coaches, the sacrifice that their families make with the guys on the road and traveling day in and day out. Greatly appreciate our players. I think that's one of the biggest compliments to a great recruiting class is the players in your organization and the way they recruit other great players. So really is a team effort, and really had an exceptional day. You heard me talk many times about build, select, and develop, and as we get better and continue to recruit, we can be more selective and make sure we are recruiting the players that best fit the University of Kentucky and best fit our organization. And really proud of this class of 19 signatures at this point, 11 on offense and 8 on defense. And I do anticipate to continue to recruit throughout today. I appreciate your patience in backing this up a little bit. So we are continuing to recruit throughout today. I expect up to 4 more significant additions to this signing class. So some guys that are very heavily recruited, and we'll continue to recruit and to continue to battle for these remaining recruits.
Mark, we know what the websites say. Do you think this is your best class that you've signed in Kentucky?
I don't know. That's up to y'all. I guess you could look at it and see. We'll tell you in 3 or 4 years. That's the big thing. I could tell you, I am very confident in this group. I really feel very strong about this group, both as football players and probably more importantly, as young men and what they do away from the field and the leadership that I feel that we have within this group.
You've had success recruiting in the trenches previously, but it feels like this year there's even more star power than before.
Yeah, I think it's a really good class when you look at that. If you're looking at the O-line and D-line, offensive line with 5 guys and 5 quality players there, and then defensive line, we have 3. If you put Sam in that group, who's a really big guy, much like a Josh Allen, you have 4 along the front right there, and we're going to continue to recruit 1 or 2 more, but it's really a strong class, with our front guys.
I know a lot of especially on the offensive side, their offensive tackle. Are they all tackles? Do they move down? How do you kind of figure all that out? We
needed some tackles and felt like we hit that need. So definitely 4 of the guys are prototypical tackles, but some of them are really big. If you look at Jeremy Flax, he's enormous and probably could play a lot of positions. But they are tackles, and that's what we recruited 4 of them. RJ's an inside guy.
With Flax, there was a story that you read to a class.
Yeah,
his mom.
That's accurate. That's right.
What book did you read?
I can't tell you the name of it. I wish I did know it, but I took a picture. I'll have to tweet it out of Clink when Clink was reading, and he was butchering it up so bad. I felt the need to grab the next book. So I did a really good job of reading mine, and then I asked the kids afterwards who did a better job, me or Coach Clink, and they all pointed to Coach Clink. I was a little disappointed, so that bummed me out. So, yeah, because I was real enthusiastic, showed them the pictures and everything. Yeah, it was good. I was good. Got a lot of practice with that. Yeah, definitely. We're all in. Yeah.
Speaking of Coach Clink, a couple years ago, he was getting a lot of flack from fans and people about doing some back play, but this was around the time he was establishing relationships with these guys from Michigan. Just how important has he been to recruiting in that state, but also the development of the secondary the last 2 years?
He's really done a remarkable job. He really has. He's worked exceptionally hard. He listens to criticism like we all need to, and try to improve in all areas like all of us, in our program try to do. And he does a great job of building relationships, both with our current players and with recruits. And that's showing up. Because really, if you even look at Jeremy, you go back to his connections in that state and some of the other guys in the junior college that knew Coach Klink from the Detroit area, and those relationships really helped. So he's done a really good job, and our players on the field has really responded to him well this year, and he did a really good job coaching some young, inexperienced guys. And on the recruiting trail, he's really crushing it, doing a great job. Right. You got the big dog over here, and then maybe we gotta get a nickname for Clank going. So.
This class is even more spread out than before. So how do you still have to keep things focused in one state, or is it just?
Well, we kind of have to here, with where we're at. We have to branch off a bit. I think it goes to where some of our connections are and where each individual coach is connected to. And, you look at Coach Summerall, John Summerall, going into Mississippi and signing Josiah. That was a enormous get for us. And that was one that you really kind of feel like you pulled a rabbit out of a hat today, And, we really kept that really far under the radar for a lot of reasons. Coach did a really good job, and Josiah's a fantastic young guy and a great player and a great person, and so that's a big get going into Mississippi and getting the number 2 rated player in the state of Mississippi.
How, another one of his guys, Derek Jackson, there's a story about him camping. How did that kind of recruitment?
Yeah, we saw him in person, got him up here and got a chance to see him in person, and John just did a nice job of watching him, and Derek's a big guy, and we need a little size in there at inside linebacker, so he's kind of like a big thumper type, but he moves around really well.
You said in the past you'd like to get the program in a position where you can redshirt like any freshman that comes in. Is there a position group or any players that you anticipate playing early?
That's hard to say. That's up to the individual. That's up to these guys that we recruited. We constantly talk about opportunity. There's going to be opportunity there for them, and it's up to them to take advantage of it. They know we have a good competitive team, but there's some really talented players in this group, and so we'll see. Just go right down by the position there. You guys all know Bo Allen and our recruitment of him. We've been recruiting him for a long time. And Bo, that was a big piece of this recruiting class to sign Bo. He was extremely important to us for a long time, and really built strong relationships with him and his family, and really important to have him in our program. So we're grateful to have him, and looking forward to big things from Bo. The addition of Joey Gatewood was also really important when that opportunity arose, just a month or two ago, and we started recruiting him, and where we were at with quarterback this year, it was important. We never want to be caught, thin again, with departures or with injury. And then offensive line, R.J. Adams, picking him up this past week. Coach White did a great job recruiting him. Extremely big, physical guy inside that we really felt like we needed. And then you go DeAndre Buford, Josh Jones, John Young, and Jeremy Flax, 4 really big, long, athletic guys. And again, we really went into this recruiting period knowing that we needed to sign some offensive linemen. We feel like we're going to get them there. And then the receiver positions with Khalil and Isaiah and Ernest, 3 impact players there, guys that can really stretch the field. They make competitive catches, and all 3 of those guys will have an opportunity to come in and help. So we'll see. And then with running back, Jatan is a guy that's extremely fast, can make you miss, big play type guy. And then on defense, linebackers, we talked about Derek, and then Sam. Sam Anali's a great big guy, very long, and athletic, and just what we're hunting on the outside. difference makers there. And then you look at our defensive line, and Justin Rogers and Trayvon and Josiah. Those are 3 big-time players, and really difference makers. And you know how I feel about the front guys. You know, you got to have them in this league, and to have 3 players like that in one group is special. And then you go to the defensive backs with Ricky Hyatt and Andrew Phillips, and then Carrington Valentine. Again, 3 guys with really good ability, playmaking ability, and you know, they could do a lot of things. They're athletic, can change direction. They got some length to them, so really solid class. And again, we're trying to continue that right now. We're still actively recruiting a couple guys today, and a couple guys will be a little further along.
What was it with Bo Allen that you guys saw early on? He was going to be one of your main.
You know, I really feel like our coaches did a great job of identifying his talent very early. And so we knew right away that he was going to be a special guy. Our coaches have done that, especially when we get a chance to lay eyes on guys in camps and get them around here early on. They've done a really good job of identifying guys. You remember back all the way to Landon Young. We offered him as a freshman in high school, I think, or a sophomore. And but with Bo, same thing. We just felt like he had the ability. He just had the you know, all the intangibles for a quarterback. He worked extremely hard. He was very bright. He had great arm talent. And I think it's you know, you look at that and you could watch quarterbacks in person and you see the anticipation that he has. And I went and watched him play in person this year, and I walked away, you know, with feeling like he was better than I even thought. You know, just seeing him live and the way he makes plays, eludes pressure, steps up in the pocket constantly with his eyes down the field, and you know, he's a special player.
Would you have played if you had him this year on campus?
Pardon me?
Would both played if you had him on campus this year?
It's hard to say.
How
I would think so. Probably not that hard. What do you got?
helpful has
Great. Got another addition to our group. They could probably pass out the sheet there. We got Octavius in the boat, so that's another really big guy in state. That's why I was hoping to get that commitment today. I had to back this up to make sure we could talk about him. I wanted to give him. So Octavius was going to announce today sometime around 3:45, and so we just got word that he's in the boat, and that's another big get for us. So another feather in the cap over there for the big dog. He had to work the phones. Octavius made Vince work a little bit longer today than he wanted to, but that's another, you know, you put the 4 interior defensive linemen, and all of them are 4 or 5-star guys and big, athletic, talented guys.
How thoughtful has John Young been with recruiting? He's been on everyone's butt on social media, it seems like, to make sure they at least consider UK.
John's been fantastic. Again, a great young man, great family. He's been a lot of fun to recruit. He's been part of the core group in this group that has helped us. And you could see the leadership in a lot of this group.
Justin Rogers committed in May. A lot of people just assumed that he'd take visits and big programs would come after him. It never really felt like that ever came to surface. What does that say about him and the relationship you guys built with somebody that high of rank?
You know, it's really great to see. It was a great feeling for us as well to go through this recruiting process with a guy like him, so heavily recruited, committed to us relatively early. It says a lot about Coach Klink and the relationships that he has with the family, and you know, and so you know, he's a special player, and he's a great young man in Justin, and you know, every time we see him, you know, whether he's on campus or when I got a chance to go visit him, you know, he's one of those guys that kind of puts a smile on your face. He affects other people in such a positive way, and you know, he's been, you know, for such a highly ranked player, he was a joy to recruit, and you know, it says a lot about him and his character.
Along those lines with Justin, the weekend he took his official visit, he had Bo and Johnny Young and some other guys, and I think all of them signed. So just what do you remember about that weekend, and do you have a feeling at that point that they would all?
Yeah, that was a great weekend. It really was. I think Andrew was in there as well. It was a lot of fun. Those guys are great people, great families, and I think it was at a time of year when we could spend 2 days with them. It's hard, and we try to help educate our recruits as best we can of when they come in, because when players come in season, the positive is you get to fly them in and take care of them and put them up and entertain them for a game weekend. But the bad thing for us is we're so distracted. We're consumed with trying to win the game. And, that a lot of those games are over late at night. And so our time gets condensed with what we're able to do and spend time with them. So they came in the spring, I want to say April, wasn't it, Vince, or something, April, and we just had a good opportunity to spend some time with them.
Mark, do you anticipate having 7 scholarship quarterbacks on the roster for next fall?
Yeah, we'll see where that goes. I think, for sure, at least one, has talked to me about going in the portal at this point in time. So we'll see where that heads, with those guys.
Mark, can you talk a little bit about how your recruiting strategy has changed? I mean, in the early days, you could really only promise playing time. Mm-hmm. And now you can go in there with the full confidence that you can compete for a championship. How important was that to these guys?
Well, it's really important. What these guys know is, they grew up in high school where we played in 4 straight bowl games. So that's what they understand and know about Kentucky, that we win games and we're playing in bowl games, and we want to continue to build this program and take it to another level. And so it's really important to have a quality recruiting class like this one to help continue to build.
Change the subject just for a second. Hayden Fry, what did he mean to you?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Hayden, meant the world to us. He was a guy that had a great influence on my life and, really my entire family, because he really changed the outcome of a lot of us. When he arrived on campus, I think it was right after Bob's first semester there, and everything really changed from that point on. With Iowa football, what it is today, it really started at that point in time with Hayden, and we just built such a strong relationship with him, with 3 brothers playing there. So Bob played there, and then Mike played there. By the time I came out, I was recruited by a lot more schools because they probably figured they blew it on those 2, because they went and played really well at Iowa. So I had probably more opportunity, and then. But I remember making that decision, and I just felt like, why would I go somewhere else and risk that when we had so much trust in Hayden Fry and in that program. Bill Brazier was the defense coordinator, and the same coordinator was there with Bob and Mike, and so I went there. We didn't know at the time that we would, have this type of a run in coaching, but he just affected our lives, and we all played for him. We all started our coaching profession under him, and so I was very fortunate and very blessed to spend that time with him, because he was a remarkable man. He really was. There was one story that I could tell you that was, that we'll never forget as a family. My father passed away while I was playing at Iowa. It was the night before we were playing Wisconsin, and it was a Friday night. My dad was coaching. I think you all know the story. He was coaching against the opponent was a rival of ours. My oldest brother, Ron, was coaching the opponent. But anyway, my father passed away, and the next week we're playing Michigan. And the funeral was either on a Tuesday or Wednesday, but a heavy work day. Being a coach now and a head coach and understanding what we were getting into week to week, a big game, and lo and behold, Hayden Fry shows up at my father's funeral and walks in and makes an appearance before the ceremony, and paid his respects to my mom and our family, and just meant the world to us. So to take that kind of time and to go that far in season just tells you what type of man he was. So he had a great influence on me, certainly my brothers and our whole family.
What was your business like?
Hayden, he was a character now. He was a character. He just, he was very likable, and he was a bigger than life type personality. He really was. So he left the heavy lifting to the assistants, kind of like the big dog. Barry Alvarez recruited me. He was the assistant that recruited me. And but Hayden, I remember him coming in and having dinner with us and spending some time.
Mark had some success with kids coming in from the transfer portal. How do you kind of balance that with high school recruits?
Yeah, you just try to balance it as best you can. It's still, you've heard me say this, but it's true. It's still relatively new. Roster management, for all of us is more of a challenge. I would think this is a good year for us to try to get evened out. So, we'll see. Hopefully we'll be right at 85 next year, because it's hard for all of us coaches to be at 85. Everybody seems to be under with the way the portal is and things of that nature. So, and you're only able to sign 25. So for us, it was good that we had a smaller class. So you try to get balanced back up.
Do you expect to be recruiting in January as class?
We'll see. We got our sights on, now that we got Octavius in the boat, we've got 3 more we're zeroed in on specifically.
What is it about Isaiah Cummings that you, what's the biggest thing about Isaiah?
Isaiah's just a competitor. Comes from such a great program. He's a competitor. He plays extremely hard. He's a big guy with a great big catch radius, so he could go up and catch the ball over people, and he competes at a high level.
How was your first, when you first sit down with the guy, first time you meet him, changed maybe from when you first got here to now?
When I first sit down with a recruit?
The first time you...
Well, I'm sure it's quite different. I don't know how I could put that into words, but I'm sure it's different. Jason could probably tell you back there. He always keeps his eye on me as I'm growing as a coach.
Your last
Try
year,
to keep me straight, huh, Jason?
Your last year at Florida State, you had 5
NFL defensive linemen in your defensive line group when you were a coordinator. Over the last several years, you've been able to develop SEC caliber starting defensive linemen, but not many have gone to the NFL. Now you look at this class and you've got pretty much what could be some really great NFL talent. How does that change the way you coach your defense that's in the past and now going forward?
It won't. I mean, we constantly evolve and, try to build around the strengths of our players, on offense and on defense and special teams. We try to put them in the best position to be successful, both for themselves and for the team. So I don't think there'll be much wholesale changing in what we do. We'll have some guys on this year's defensive line that'll have an opportunity to play in the NFL.
For Nelly, the name Josh Allen's brought up whenever he comes around, but we haven't seen much of him. Is that a fair comparison?
For Sam?
Yes.
Anybody that's big and long like that, you want to compare him to. Same with, JJ. JJ looks really good to me. JJ's a guy that I've mentioned that's taken a big jump in the last 4 or 5 weeks. But Sam is another guy that you'd like to have that kind of length. And, he's a great big guy, probably even thicker coming out of high school. He's probably, I think we saw him, just over a week ago or so. I want to say he was like 243 or something like that, but he looks good. It's all 6'5". I mean, big old joker.
Mark, what did you all specifically like about Oxen?
Yeah, he's another guy that's very athletic for his build. He's a big, strong guy, and but really moves well, plays hard. Again, very well coached coming out of high school. So really have big hopes for Ox. He was another one that was settle down over there. He was another one that was major importance for us. For a few years now.
She said, in his 2010 national championship team, he said he had the number one quarterback and the number one guy on defense, and the rest of his team was made up primarily of three-star guys. Is that a tribute to the way you all develop people?
I think I take pride in developing, and we're, as I mentioned, we're very intentional about what we do and how we develop guys in all areas. And I'm really like what our strength and conditioning team does. I think those guys do a fantastic job. And, it starts down there with a mentality and getting those guys as athletic as they can and mental toughness and a lot of things. So I really feel like it starts there. And then our coaches do a really good job as well.
That's something you can start selling in the future with the way that you build your offensive line and then your quarterbacks to wide receivers. You got good wide receivers in this class, but like the 4 and the 5-star guys, is that something you build now to pitch later?
Well, I think, we recruit a lot of these guys before any of these stars are out. You know what I mean? Before they're identified, So you've seen that from us. We recruited Justin when he was in 8th grade, so he didn't have any stars there. So we just felt like we saw a good player. So, we're going to continue to rely on ourselves and our evaluation and who we think can fit into our system. But I think, as I mentioned in the opening statement, the selection process for us improves as we get better and better.
To get Kelvin to come from LSU, to get Joey to come from Auburn, taking some of these guys from the West, what does that say about Kentucky football?
Well, I think, again, if you look around and these guys, and again, I'm not throwing any shade on anybody, but they're not worried about the past. You know what I mean? When I first got here, it was always about the negative talk about the past, and, we're beyond that now. You know what I mean? If you look at these guys, they care about the last 4 years. And I don't mean that in any disrespectful way, but everybody hangs on, when you're here writing about it and the history and all that. These guys know the history that we're going to bowl games. And won a New Year's Day bowl game a year ago and won 10 games and beat Penn State and going to a bowl game this year and overcome some adversity and still a fun program to be around. And so, that's what they know. So we don't have a hard time. And I told you day one, when I walked in here, my first press conference, that we're going to recruit the best players that we can and go recruit the best players in the country. It doesn't mean we're going to get every one of them, but we're going to certainly battle.
I don't know if you pay attention to Coach Marrow and his tweets, but he likes to taunt a little bit. So I didn't know. Do you put him up to that?
I do not. I do not monitor his Twitter account. We have some other people that do that. Keep him in line.
Mark, since you have had a 10-win season, you've had 4 AP first-team All-Americans in the last 2 years, you have guys winning major national awards. How do teams recruit against you now? They can't use some of the stuff.
That's right. I think there was only, Alabama and Ohio State, or who were the other program?
The SEC, Alabama, LSU, and Georgia, the only schools that have had 4 major award winners in a 3-year span.
Yeah, so I mean, we're doing some good things, but it just again a testament to the coaches in our program and the guys we're recruiting and developing them as best we can. Build, select, develop. I'm not going to stray too far from that. That's what we do. Build a winning culture, continue to build and do things as best we can, select the very best players we can, and then once they get here, no matter what they are, we're intentional about developing them and taking them to another level.
Well, it was maybe land like this year, the way y'all had to use him for his draft stock, but how much does being able to showcase him in a completely different way outside of his position help recruiting?
It helps in recruiting, I hope, but it helps Lynn, as well. And I think, we all talk about and we know how unselfish he was to do that and to accept that role. In doing so, I think it's really helped him as well, because it just puts all his ability on full display.
Marcus, you went to replace Logan, Stimberg, and Mason Wolfus. Is there any thought of moving some of your current tackles inside the guard, or how are you going to work?
You don't know. I mean, we don't know. We'll see how it goes. We've got some guys that are versatile, but they've also played some really good football. I think a guy you look at is Darian, because I know, and you could look at that and say you look at the top 5, and you could do that, and we think would think that way as well. But he's played so darn good at tackle, so we'll look at options.
How big a play to get an athlete like Ernest Sanders is it? You see all the basketball highlights.
Well, that's a good point. Ernest is a guy that I think has really big-time potential and big playability. You do see that on the basketball floor, and it was fun for me and Coach Klink to fly up in there into Flint and to see that area. Reminds me a lot of Youngstown, very industrial, but he's a real athlete. He really is, and big playability. So he was another one, extremely important, but a core guy. Been committed to us for a while, really tight with the rest of the group, and special player.
I think talk specifics, but in general, how should we view verbal commitments who aren't signed by the end of this, after going through this early signing process for a couple of years now and knowing this?
Well, this class was really solid for us. To think that you're going to shoot 100%, that's not it. And we understand that too. Sometimes these guys go out there and commit and everything. We're like, really? You know what I mean? We're just in the lead. You know what I mean? So we understand. I think, again, everybody follows it so closely now and makes a bigger deal at it than others. I mean, again, roster management is takes some work, and then managing your recruiting, your signing day is touchy as well, because you're dealing with numbers and initial scholarships, and it does get tough.
Do you think you'll add a tight end or roll forward with the group that you had?
Pardon me?
Do you think you'll
No, we will not add a tight end. But with that, I can't remember going into the last week with, I want to say we had like six guys maybe up till this weekend, and we were, I felt like we'd shoot about 50%, and if we did, we'd be pretty darn good. And we're going to add a couple more, and it's going to be really good.
Skill guys still in play.
Yes. We got enough hosses.
All right, folks, thank you very much. We appreciate your time.
Okay, we're going to have next now,
Good job.
Big dog, we got to get to Drake's, don't we?
Yes. Good 10-minute Yeah, we taking all y'all. We taking all y'all to drinks.
Tomorrow.
Okay. Once again, it seemed like Groundhog Day, but this has been a great day. Probably one of our best classes we've signed since we've been here, and I know Coach Stoops is very excited, and our whole staff is excited. So, on that, any questions?
Bill Brown, talk about his abilities, what he brings to you.
Khalil been committed to us for, I'm saying his name right, Flax? Khalil. He's been committed to us for a while. Was committed to Michigan, and a lot of his offers he had, I think he got his offers on it, but he got other offers when he decommitted from Michigan. I know Ohio State came in on him, but he was looking for a program more like a family environment, and he was watching. He was pretty close with Benny Snell, and that's how we got in on that. But this kid is I'm pretty sure y'all see him on Twitter. He's going to be one of them guys that's going to come in, and I think going to play. Contribute early. He's a very physical guy, driven, and comes from a very good family. So getting him was very big. I know Michigan tried to get him back in the boat, but I thought our whole staff did a good job, keeping him on board.
So this is one of the three best classes you signed. What makes this one different than the other ones?
I think it's a combination of, I remember our 14 class, star-wise, our 14 class was probably the best to this point. And any guys been following recruiting back then. But the 15 class produced more, I think, guys that contribute and were good players. And I think it's a combination of both, with the star power and guys that's going to play, that can come in and play as freshmen. This is probably the most I've seen where we signed up front, and that's where you win in this league with O linemen and D linemen. I think we signed, I don't know, it's like about 9
9 or 10 combined O linemen, D linemen, 4 or 5 stars. So that was huge. I mean, that's when you start getting up there and you can compete with all them other guys in the league that I think we starting to catch. And still got about one more school, I believe, on our side to catch before we start saying that we arrived and we can play with these guys.
What is a good success rate for a class? As far as percentage-wise, if you had to just put a number on it, for guys it's hard to expect 100%.
Meaning as guys coming in playing, or? Well, I think we to the point now where we don't need a lot of guys to come in and play. I thought our last year class was pretty good, and I want to say we redshirted about 90% of that class, and them guys are now going to be redshirt freshmen ready to go. This class is unique, though, because there are some good players that I believe that can play as freshmen. So, you'll never know until 2 or 3 years down the line. I look at our 15 class, and that's probably been our most successful class because I was just talking to Justin Rigg and saying he's been going to a bowl game since he's been here. And I remember CJ and them guys missed it. I think we were like, 5 and 7 and 15, and then they went to 3 straight bowls. So I think our 15 class, you see now 3 years later, I can say was pretty good. I still think the 14 class was good, just for the fact that that's when we started kicking in doors and signing them 4 and 5 star guys, and people really was taking a look at us saying, wow, what are the guys doing down there? Now it's a norm when we go in there and we sign, it's not normal. I mean, it's not surprising us that we signed, I think, 15 4 stars. So 15 or 14, that's what you got to do, to win in this league. And so you ask me about this class probably 3 years from now, then I know. Maybe we have won the championship by then, and I say they were the best class. So.
We ask you every year about your diamond in the rough. 100% with Josh. You've gotten some right last year with Sean Kelly. Not so much, but who you got this?
Oh, man. You brought that up. Oh, this year? It's so many good players in this class. But if I would say, and I don't even know if he's going to be a diamond in the rough, but probably Isaiah Cummins, a guy who can play as a freshman. When I say diamond in the rough, a guy who probably can come in and play as a freshman. He's not a loud talking guy. I don't know how. I mean, you've seen him. He's one of the prettiest looking dudes, and he's very quiet. But I just think this kid is something about him. I know Coach Smith we just were talking. He was like, something about him. He's probably the closest guy that's closer to a mod that we can say, okay, let's throw the 50-50 ball up to, and he can go get it. So I'm gonna be excited about how his progress as he keeps going further with us.
How big a deal was it, the success you had in Louisville last year for getting Isaiah and John this year? How did recruiting that city change? New staff?
I will say that new staff, it probably would have been a little more tighter if they would have came in earlier. But when we got JJ and them guys out of there, and it sent a message that we were still coming down there the next year, and honestly, I'm pretty sure y'all know Isaiah Cummins' dad works at Louisville. And when I did the home visit a couple weeks ago, I was like, you really gonna let me get your son, huh? You really? And he's laughing, but he said, no, my son, and they good parents. They was like, we just want what's best for our son. And he said, the whole family are Louisville fans. But they say, we're gonna be blue now for the next 4 years, and it's a testament of his parents. But he's a guy, getting John Young. I think John Young played a big part of that. John Young had a lot of offers when he committed to us. I don't know, was it like in May he committed to us? Yeah, and of course, I'm always going to use that against anything. And he really was like my assistant coach. He was pounding them guys in Louisville and pounding the guys in the state of Kentucky. So I got to give a lot of credit to him too. But I think getting John really helped us a lot. And then, of course, when you got Bo, that really, solidified what we were going to do in the state of Kentucky.
What does Louisville and then kind of the state at large look like in this next class?
It's pretty good. Coach, I can say Octavia School, it's kind of strange because a lot of them kids didn't grow up, born in Kentucky because their parents probably was in the Army. But there's some. I know right offhand, there's 6, 7 guys that we must get in this class next year from the state of Kentucky. And I say 6 of them probably are national guys. And high school football is getting real good in Kentucky now. I mean, it's just better. The coaches are better, and the kids are. I mean, dude, I look at our team and you look at our roster, and forgive me if I say I use Kentucky as being a part of the North, but I say when you look at our roster, it's 80% North because I say Kentucky kids, Kentucky, Ohio, Michigan, you can go Maryland and all that, but the Kentucky football players have, and the development of them these last couple of years has really been big for us, and it's some real good players next year. There's some real good players, and soon when I get out of here, I'm gonna be hitting a lot of them up, because now, this one went down to the end, like Coach Stoops said. Big Ox took me down to the end, man, and it got real chippy with some other schools, and we always gonna stay positive. A lot of schools, negative. We don't have to. Our play speaks for us now. So I think somebody asked Coach Stoops a question like, "How do we recruit now?" We lose our third quarterback and we still win 7 games. Got a chance to win 8. I think we don't lose Terry Wilson. I think we really and I really do believe we 10-2. 11, you just never know. But so I like where we at. I like where the recruits recruiting this state is going to keep getting better and better.
When you talk about it's important to get the in-state guys on board, but especially when somebody's in Lexington, it seemed like the Bo, having him be in town and being able to host those guys, for maybe extra time in the city,
Yes.
or whatever it is. How much does that help?
It helped a lot. The recruiting rules kind of changed where you can actually bring a kid in and he can be unofficial, and you can, as long as in the radius of the campus, you can show him around a lot. And that became very huge when you had guys like Bo who would just come up here, to visit, and he knew, like, say we had a running back in from Georgia, he'd come up and just, say, hey, man, I'm all the way in with this, because you got to have that quarterback in your class to be the leader. But unofficial visits are big now. I wish guys now would take their official visits, in the spring and the summer, so you can get all them visits out the way and then make your decision and then sign when it's, the way the signing date now is in December. The problem is some guys wait and they may make it to the state playoffs, and then they say, okay, I want to come to your school, but I also want to get a couple visits in just to look at other schools. And so, I just wish now that, like you say earlier, when you bring them guys in early, unofficial, you can get all that out the way. And now probably February won't even be a class that you sign in no more, because 100% of your class will be signed in December. So.
My cousin belongs to the same church the company does in Louisville, and with my cousins, the cat thing.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, he said that there's a lot of negative recruiting going on out there. Is that, how relevant is that? How much is that?
That we were negative recruiting?
No, negative recruiting against us.
Oh yeah, I mean we don't have to negative recruit no more against them guys. I know this. I don't think it was with the new staff, and I think I made a big point of 2 years ago where it was. I think the reason why we wasn't getting a lot of the inner city kids in Louisville was there was negative recruiting from that school down there, and making kids afraid to come to school here, or making them think that there's something. I don't know what they were thinking, but I do think it was. There's no negative recruiting with us. I actually like this new staff. The guys seem like, I really do think, they had a great year to go from what they did last year and then win, I think, 7 or 8 games. I think that was pretty good. So I think we're going to have we have to battle, because I think they already on some guys. They offered guys already that we ain't even offered. So, we got to, catch up with them. And I understand what they're doing. I understand their philosophy, why they're doing it.
When you first got here, it was you and Mark in Ohio making it like gangbusters. Now you've got John Summerall doing work in the South, Clink up in Michigan. How nice is it that it's a kind of a team-wide effort?
Oh, it is. That's the way you want it. Don't make no mistake about it, though. Kentucky and Ohio still going to be where I think we going to do our damage. But I got to say, Clink's doing a real good job in Michigan. And I think the kids from Michigan took the same pattern that the kids from Ohio did. Like, hey, we think we got great football in the Big Ten up there. If you think that's the case, the last couple of years, the team has won the national championship, been an SEC school. And so, now, not Clemson now, but it's still a South school. But let's go play against them boys in the South, and let's go, see where you stack up at. And I know that was the reason why Marquand McCall came here and Square and a lot of them guys. I just think right now, the way we recruiting, Brad White recruiting, you know, Maryland, DC area, I mean, as long as you get 2-3 guys here and, you know, we get some guys out of Michigan, I still think our base is always going to be Kentucky and Ohio, where you're going to get majority, because Kentucky is your home base, and then Ohio, you know, every year they have about 80 Power 5 guys, and we have did very good with them guys. But I like the way, like you said, our staff, what John Summerall did, that was, I don't know, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. That was pretty good. And you just got to look at his energy. I mean, I can take John Summerall in Ohio or anywhere, and just the way he is as a person, that's going, you know, kids going to want to listen. They at least going to be intrigued. And so I just think Mark Stoops, he assembled, for some reason, he does a good job replacing staff and bringing in good guys. And I think they know that we recruit. And we recruit like a machine, and I just think other guys say, hey, I got to get on board with this. But I think we always still going to recruit Florida still, because Eddie do a good job down there. I just think the core of it is where it's going to be Kentucky, Ohio, and I mean, you look at the last couple of years, we're getting a lot of guys out of Detroit. I mean, out of the state of Michigan. So wherever they coming from, we going to take them.
Mark said he was reading that book to kids for the Flax. What's the craziest thing you've done on your recruiting visit?
Man, some stuff I can't say it already. You know, I went to church a couple times, and I mean, I would say that's not bad because, you know, my grandfather and dad is a minister, but it's just going to some churches and you really don't know the way they do their rules in there, and I was pretending like I knew what I was doing. And it was if they would have really put the mic on me, they would have seen I ain't know what the hell I was talking about. But no, just that, and just going to, without cheating, you always gonna do something. You want to make people feel that you can connect to their family, and you know, like, I'm just glad I wasn't in that school when they was reading them books. I would have really messed that up though. And I told Clink, I said, you know, he was saying cat and dog and just messing all that stuff up. But I don't know. I did a lot of things, but I ain't never went that far as reading to some fourth graders. I ain't never did that.
Did you explain most of for most of the last 30 years, the Tennessee-Kentucky rivalry on the field has not been.
Oh, dude.
The last 3 games have been very competitive. All the stuff on bowl selection Sunday. It seemed like there were a couple head-to-head battles in this one.
Dude, you must know something. You must know something that's going on that you know. That's what makes it great. I will say this: we will never negative recruit a school, but I can't say the same for a lot of some of the other schools. And you know what? We gonna battle, and I think that's a good rival. Wish we could have played them in a bowl game, but I just say this: we always gonna be who we gonna be, and they gonna be who they gonna be, and they signed some pretty good players that we were recruiting, and we got some guys that they were recruiting, and I'm pretty sure this battle is going to go on and on. But at the end of the day, there was one young man that I think I was recruiting, and great kid, great family, and I texted him, I wished him the best, because he really was. He's a good kid, and came down to it, but it was it was battle. And we had some battles, probably about 4 or 5 battles that went on all the way to the day. So you must know something that I don't know. But yeah, I like the rival. I like the battle, and like Stoops said, we ain't gonna back down from nobody when recruiting. Nobody.
Did you have a favorite experience in recruiting this year with this class? Is there anything that stands out to you?
Yes, we're men. Sometimes you go and you look at homes and you're driving, and we going to see Joey Gatewood, me and Stoops, and we riding, and we get to this house, and we was like, I think I said to Stoops, man, this house look better than yours, and it was a nice, I don't know, man, it was just a nice, had the little pond down there, and it was just everything was good. The home food was good. Now I know Stoops probably don't want me to mention this, but sometimes when you go, you probably see on Twitter, we was at a lot of different places. We eat meals in every one of them places, and you get to the place, man, you on your 3rd home visit, and you like, oh, they bring out a full course meal, and you like, I think I'm on a diet or something like that, or, you know, I take a little salad, but you already ate like 3-4 pieces of chicken, had spaghetti at the other house. So that's when, if you ever want to look at me, where I seem to pick up weight is right around recruiting time. And then I got to drop it when I get off of recruiting time. So, but it's an honor and a blessing going in these people's homes. That's the best part of, it's like Christmas to me. You go meet a lot of different people, meet their families, go in their homes. You guys should try that one day. It's very unique.
Is there any player in this class that you say, obviously there's no Lynn Bowden other than himself, but that is Lynn like or has that kind of mentality that you valued with Lynn?
The dog mentality, because Lynn got dog mentality, so I say the dog part, probably Justin Rogers and Octavius. The playmaker ability, I'll say Juton McClain and probably Ernest, the kid Ernest, and just being overall smart, because Lynn was probably the smartest player on our team. I'll say probably Bo Allen. I mean, so if you can grab all of them in one and then give me a recruit, then we have Lynn Bowden again. So, I mean, I think, guys, I thought Benny was a guy that I said, okay, Lynn Bowden is a guy that I don't think there's always going to be another one, but to have all that wrapped up in one, I don't think people realize how smart he was. He was a very smart kid and how tough he is. So if we got one of them guys in this class, let's put him at quarterback tomorrow then.
Was the plan always to take 2 quarterbacks, or did you guys just do Gatewood as someone who was too good to pass up?
Well, it's kind of like, you know, Bo was a quarterback of our class, and we had enough respect for Bo that we conversated with him before, you know, we started talking with Joey. But it's kind of like in basketball. You may say, hey, I ain't gonna take another basketball player. I got my team, and then here comes the 7-footer walking by, and he's got eligibility, and that's how we looked at Joey. Joey was a very highly recruited kid and very driven young man. And I just think the situation, like Stoops said, happened at Auburn, but he's here now, and we just couldn't, like you said, we couldn't pass up on that. And I think they're going to be 2 or 3 years apart, whether you redshirt someone or something like that. But I mean, we're glad to have them both. But to show the respect we have for Bo, we actually conversated with Bo, you know, hey, this is what, you know, kind of like getting his permission. This is kind of what we're going to do. But the respect of Joey's a good football player. And I really believe Joey Galloway is going to help us a lot.
Did Bo's reaction tell you anything about kind of the competitor?
Told me what type of guy he was. I mean, we asked him a couple times, and he looked at us like on the 3rd time. He's like, dude, this is football. I'm ready to compete. I'm ready. And you want that in a player, but you definitely want that in a quarterback. And it just told me I actually had more respect for Bo with that, because I mean, it could have been, you know, you hear through especially the way we were playing at quarterback, not throwing the ball because of the injuries and all that. That could have been easy for him to say, oh, you know, but he was stern to what he wanted to do, and our relationship was good with him, and he's a competitor, man. I don't know if you guys ever interviewed Bo. Bo's a competitor. He really is. He's a competitor, and I think he's going to look for the challenge, you know, whoever we bought him here.
What is that all-purpose back tag? I know he's, you know, primary hit, a ton of rushing yards, but is he a guy who can do the running?
Juton is a dude. He's a dude, and every one of them offers were committable offers. I mean, when we look, Eddie Grand, I always say Eddie know about running backs. Eddie Grand, there were some other running backs that I thought, even in Ohio, that I thought we should have ranked higher. And Eddie, when it comes to running back, Eddie knows the running backs, and Eddie was like, this is the guy. And as I watched Juton more and more, I was like, dude, this cat, you know, to rush for, I think he rushed for almost 2,500 his junior year or sophomore year. He's just a dude. He's a combination of Boom and the kid we got now, Tisdale. That's what but he's a tough kid too. So I'm excited about that. When we got that kid, I was very happy getting him.
It's the last guy you got from Western Central, turned out pretty well.
He's another one. If you talk to Stoops or Klink, You know, Ricky had Notre Dame, had Ohio State. We used the Benny Snell. And I'm going to tell you what really blew him away. When his family came here and we told people he was from Westerville Central, fans, they just really, he really bought into the mystique of Benny Snell. But I think he's seen like, wow, this really is a place. And I see why Benny thrives here. But make no mistake about it, this kid, you talking about somebody who probably play corner, safety, nickel, this kid a big-time player. We actually offered him twice. We offered him on, when we do our rankings, we watch offense one day, we offered him as an offensive player, as a receiver, running back, and then, of course, you know, Stoops seen him on defense, and we took him as, he was already, actually him and, I was about to say the other kid name, but he was one of our top safeties on the board, period, all the safeties we watch. This kid is very athletic, can go to school for track. He's a very good track runner, should win the state this year in the hurdles. I mean, he's a good player. He might be one of the ones that I can see saying, okay, coming and playing as a freshman in the secondary.
Okay, folks, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.